Hello, how are you? It's good to see you. It's good to have you here today. Welcome to Health Jumba. My name is Leah. Today, in terms of weight management, we are going to look at emotional eating and its relationship with obesity. I've done quite a few of studies, and I've also talked to several people who have challenges in managing their weight. And one thing that always stands out is that emotional eating is to blame for most, or if not 50% of the cases of obesity that you're witnessing today. What is this emotional eating? Do you feel stressed and you feel like the way to remove that stress is by eating? That is emotional eating. Do you feel like the only way to reward yourself for a job well done, an achievement, a new accusation is by food? That is emotional eating. How do you behave when your emotions are on the extremes? When you are sad, when you are lonely, when you feel inadequate and you feel you've not achieved, when you feel you are rejected, when you feel life is pushing you to the end, if you go to food, if you resort to opening your fridge, that is emotional eating. Okay? And there are many people who, when you ask them, what do you do when you are stressed? You notice that a majority of people will tell you is, I eat. The next thing I feel like doing is getting some food. You know, yes, emotional eating is part of us, and emotional eating as we know of it today is to blame for much of the obesity and the cases of overweight and that we are witnessing today. So, there is an emotional eating cycle, and this is what happens when your body tells you that you should get an ice cream, you should get a pizza, or you should get something to feed your feelings. It starts with something upsets you. Something makes you feel bad. Something makes you feel sad. You feel lonely. You feel rejected. You feel you're on the extremes. That is a trigger. The next thing that you do is that you get an urgent feeling, the desire to eat. You get an urgent desire to eat a pizza, an ice cream, to get a chapati, or just anything that can feed your need or your feelings. Then after that, you tend to eat more than you thought you should eat. Instead of just taking one chapati, you take two. Instead of eating one ice cream, you take two, you eat three. And the fourth step, which is the last step, is that you feel guilty for what you have done. You feel powerless, and you feel that you do not have willpower over food. And what happens later, when you feel bad about this thing, the only other way, because emotional eating is a habit, is that you eat more. To continue feeling good, to continue feeling better. And that is the cycle of emotional eating. Yes, there's a difference between emotional eating and real hunger. Okay? Emotional eating comes on suddenly. You had not planned to eat. You go to the kitchen and you see the fridge. Pop! You open the fridge and you decide to eat instantly. It was not in the plan. Actual hunger is going to come over time, okay? After you stayed for 4 hours, 6 or 7 hours without biting anything, you start feeling something. And that is what is actual hunger. It doesn't come instantly, like emotional eating. The other thing is that emotional hunger craves for some specific foods. Most of the times, emotional hunger comes as a result of stress or negative emotions. What happens when your body feels stressed? A stress hormone called cortisol is released into your bloodstream to help you deal with the kind of challenge that you are dealing with at that time. Cortisol is responsible for cravings of sugar and sugary stuff. So when you get an emotional hunger, your body will want to take sugary stuff. If it is tea, you want to take it with a lot of sugar. You will also find yourself looking for carbohydrate-rich foods, and especially wheats. That's why you look for a pizza, a cake, a donut, a chapati, or foods that are high in wheat. Because they have sugar in it, or when they are taken into the body, they are converted into sugar, and they give you an instant boost. However, an actual hunger can be satisfied by anything. If you're feeling hungry and it is your stomach that has not had food for some time, you can take sukuma wiki and you'll be fine. You can take cabbages, you'll be fine. You can take salads and you're fine. But when you're emotionally hungry, you will only desire to take sweet foods. And then maybe you say, I have a sweet tooth, or you just say, my body needs energy. When actual sense, it is an emotional hunger. And the other thing to note about emotional hunger is that it is not satisfied when at any time. You will eat and continue eating and you're feeling like you're not getting full. Whereas real hunger, when you just take a small amount of food, your stomach feels full and you're okay to move on. The other thing you notice is that emotional hunger does not come from your stomach. It is driven by your feelings. It is driven by what your body is feeling. Okay? So you'll not feel it in the stomach. Actually, your stomach may be full, but you feel a desire to take something because you're feeding your emotions. And then the other thing is that once you quench your emotional hunger, you're left feeling guilty. It leaves you feeling shameful, or even feel like you need to regret. Whereas actual hunger makes you feeling good, and it also makes you connect with those with whom you are sharing a meal with. Okay? So having said that, I always believe in using science to back up our claims and our solutions for anything. I'm a biochemist, and in my weight loss coaching, one of the things that I do is that I look at science, I look at studies that have been peer-reviewed to come up with solutions that can help my clients look at their issues and manage their weight. And one of the studies that I have looked at is this recent review that was done in 2017 in Netherlands, and it was looking at the relationship between negative emotions, that is stress, depression, sadness, aggression, and anger, and their relationship with obesity. I will not task you with a lot of information of how the study was done, the design of the study, and other details of the scientific study, but I'll just put the key highlights. I'll just let you know it was a systematic review for those who are interested in scientific reviews. And they found that people who tend to have a lot of negative emotions that are poorly managed, that is anger, stress, depression, loneliness, when those negative emotions are not managed, they lead to obesity. It was a study that had 500 applicants, 250 adult men between 18 to 65, and 250 adult females 18 to 25 years of age. Okay? And they discovered that for those people who went into a weight loss program without having to learn anything about emotional eating and managing the stress, managing anger, managing loneliness, and managing depression, only 20% of them were able to manage their weight over a 5-year period, compared to the other group that first had a training on emotional eating. They were first taught on stress management, anger management, managing depression, and managing loneliness. 70% of this second group was able to manage their weight over a 5-year period. So what we are saying is, if you are to put any client as a coach, if I was to put any client on a weight loss or a weight management program, it would not be of any benefit if we did a lot of talking and a lot of actions without discussing how to manage your emotions without resorting to food. Okay? So, what are the common causes of emotional eating? We have mentioned some, that is stress. We are in the 21st century. As we do this video in the midst of a pandemic, so many people are going through a lot of issues. And stress, as we said, leads to the production of cortisol in your body. Cortisol is a hormone that makes you desire to take sugary stuff, prompts you to take a lot of sugar. Why? Because it leads to production or release of glucose into your bloodstream. So when glucose is released into your bloodstream, your body craves for more, in the sense that our stores should not be depleted and we should have more. So if you are constantly leading a stressful life, you will be managing your weight, because when you are triggered and you decide to take food to resort to emotional hunger, you're going to accumulate more weight. The other cause of emotional eating is stuffing of emotions. What is stuffing of emotions? When you find yourself with some uncomfortable emotions, like you feel you're angry, you feel sad, you feel anxious, you feel some resentment, you feel lonely, you feel shameful. If you decide to stuff those emotions and not to feel them, you can decide to ugali the emotions. You decide to chapati the emotions. You can decide to pizza the emotions. And that's what we are saying. You are numbing yourself with food, okay? You are avoiding to approach and to deal with the difficult emotions by getting something to bite. The other reason for emotional feeding is boredom, loneliness, feeling of emptiness. And you decide the only way to sweep this away, the only way to sweep it away, the boredom away, is to eat food. And then it also has to do with childhood habits, you know. Earlier we mentioned if your parents were used to rewarding you by buying you food when you do good, or if you attributed food to a sign of social status or a sign of lack, you're likely to resort to emotional feeding to satisfy your ego or to feel like you have achieved. And then the other thing that leads to emotional eating is social influence. You know, basically in life, you are likely to eat more when you are in a group of people or when you are with people that you love and people that care for you. So how do we avoid emotional eating? There are many ways that you can avoid emotional eating so that you're able to manage your weight. And we have alternatives, okay? So if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling lonely, what do? Look for something to do. Play with your cat, play with your dog, or take a walk, okay? If you're feeling bored, look for something that will engage you physically. But if you find yourself in that situation where you are tempted to open the fridge when you feel your emotions, I would encourage you to have an emotional journal, okay? There is a range of about 36 emotions that you can feel at any particular moment. We are going to share this on our Facebook page. You can have a look at it. It's an emotional circle, where you look and ask yourself, what am I feeling in this circle? Am I feeling lonely? Am I feeling sad? Am I feeling anxious? Am I feeling rejected? Am I feeling inadequate? Am I feeling that nobody cares for me? What is it that I am feeling? Before you open that fridge, before you grab that thing that you'd like to eat, okay? When you acknowledge the feeling that is in you, allow yourself to feel it, okay? Acknowledge that this is how I am feeling and look at how you will deal with that, because food will not be a solution and food will make you feel guilty at the end of it, even before it starts showing on the scale. Then, the other thing to stop that temptation is to count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 backwards. Okay? Start with 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When you start that process of counting, by the time you get to 0, you'll find that the temptation has gone away and you'll be able to overcome that urge to feed your emotions with food. Okay? This is going to help you because we said that emotional hunger looks for instant gratification. Emotional hunger looks for something that you can grab quickly. And sometimes you can even become violent when you are emotionally hungry. Okay? So what do? Count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That is it. You'll find yourself overcoming that desire to feed emotionally, and you find yourself on the safe zone in weight management. Thanks for watching in. Thanks for plugging in. Talk to us. If you need any help, talk to us and we shall be quick to guide you. Bye.